welcome to chapters 4 and 5. So for chapters 4 and 5, we're going to be in our barn. And welcome. So the barn, we have a little bit of basketball, and of course you can kick up against the wall, a little bit of storage, and of course the rock climbing wall. So welcome. Chapters 4 and 5 is what we'll be discussing next for Narrative of the Life of a Slave. So with chapter 4, this one is all about the argument against slavery. So moving from 1, 2, and 3, right? Introduction to slavery, general overview, like that big view right from the back. Chapters 4 and 5 are going to move into more of the argument against slavery itself. So argument against violence, right, is all about chapter 4. We have Hopkins, we have Gore, and then we have multiple stories, right, of murder. And so not only murder, but crime. And not only Douglas's personal example, but then he collects a series of examples from other people as well. And so a lot of you wrote about this chapter, which was fantastic, and you all did a fantastic job. And really what we come to is Douglas's conclusion of this chapter talks about murder. It's a crime. It's a crime against another human being. And regardless of if the slaves are property, they're still human beings. And so it's really difficult for any moral, ethical argument to stand against that. So that's all about chapter 4. And then we transition to chapter 5. And chapter 5 is a transitional chapter, right? It talks about Douglas's movement from the plantation to Baltimore. And so it's an argument against how children are treated in slavery, of course, and then those have lifelong implications, right? Like Douglas has cracks in his feet that he can fit a pen into just because of he was deprived as a child from a lot of the things that would be part of a white or abolitionist or even a slave owner's children's experience. And so and even comfort, right? And so in chapter 5, with this transition, he goes to Baltimore, and this is a place of opportunity. But I love how Douglas ends chapter 5 when he talks about anyone else would have had, any other slave, given this opportunity, would have had the chance to become educated and free, just like me. It was luck. He's making the argument that he's not an abnormality. It is the institution of slavery itself that causes, the dehumanization and the misconception that slaves are unable to, or, too ignorant, or again, so all of those arguments, Douglas, he says, no, any other slave would have turned out the same as me. It just happened to be that was my fate. And so that's chapter 5. We're going to move on to another place on the property for 6 and 7, 8, and previewing 9 and 10. Hope you all are well. Bye.